Hi everyone, and welcome to the first video of 2021. Today I am going to kind of go through the last year and reflect on everything that has happened, see which goals I have met and which ones I have not from my last video last January, and go forward and kind of tell you what my goals are for next year, as well as show you all of these tools that I have and how I fill it all out to try to set myself up for the most success that I possibly can.
You look so beautiful, and I'm so lucky to be yours. And you're taking me high. Ain't nobody like you.
Okay, you might be able to hear I have a head cold. I'm kind of nasally right now, so hopefully that doesn't bother you, but I want to get this posted tomorrow. So here we are. I'm going to film it anyways. I'm going to start and kind of just reflect on what the last year has been. We have gone through some really low lows and some really high highs. Most of it has been pretty good, but there have definitely been some bumps in the road. So if you followed along, you probably know most of what I'm about to say, so I'll make it brief. But we started the year with issues with River. He is a year and a half now, but back in January, February, we were having concerns from his pediatrician about his weight and how it was dropping, which was not good. Obviously, he was like 7 months old and it should be going up at that point. He wouldn't eat any solid foods, wouldn't take a bottle, literally would do nothing but breast milk, and that was definitely not enough for him just based on how he was losing weight, basically. We ended up in the hospital for a week with malnutrition, and he ended up having an NG tube put in, and after that he thrived. Like, he gained weight fine. There were never any other issues that came about. There was nothing else causing it other than just not intaking enough calories. So we were really thankful for that, but that was a really hard time, really scary, not knowing what was going to happen or if it was going to be something more serious. So that was something that we worked through, and I'm really happy to say that now he's happy, healthy, and far removed from that NG tube, and you wouldn't even know that anything ever happened. So he is good. The other bummer thing that happened this year was that 2 of my best friends moved to different states, and I miss them dearly. They were able to come back into town just a couple weeks ago for one of the good things that happened in our life this year, which was Anthony and I finally got married after being together for 12 years. We finally tied the knot. We wanted to cash flow it ourselves, and it just took until this point to be able to do it. So we are thankful to have been able to see those friends and spend some time with them again, but it is very sad that they left. So that's another little bit of a hard thing that we've gone through this year. And then also, which a lot of people have gone through this, and I'm not going to say it, but the C word, you guys all know what it is. We had it back in October. Our entire family tested positive, and it was rough. Me and Anthony got hit pretty hard, way harder than the kids, and taking care of a toddler with feeling that way was really hard, especially because someone else can't come in and help you because it's so contagious. So that was rough, and we're glad to be past that for sure. But those were like the 3 main kind of harder things that we dealt with this year. The fun things, I mentioned the wedding. That was obviously like the culmination of it all. We got married on December 18th, and as soon as I get the video back, that will be going up on my channel, so make sure you're subscribed if you want to see the wedding video and how it all went. But I think I'm also going to do a couple like what I wish I would have done differently, how we planned our wedding, because I planned it all basically myself and then had a ton of help executing it and stuff like that. So if you're interested in knowing the nitty-gritty of that, let me know in the comments. And because of the wedding, we got to have Anthony's mom visit us from Mexico, which was another huge benefit to this year. She got to stay for a couple weeks and spend time with the grandkids. She got to meet River for the first time, and her other grandson, Milo. Louis is Anthony's brother, and that's his baby who was born last Thanksgiving. So she got to meet them and spend time with all of us, which was amazing. And it had been a few years since we had seen her, so it was definitely long overdue. Bailey and Quinn both made the dance competition team, which was really exciting. Anthony got chosen to be part of a training and leadership team at work, which he's really excited to start in the next year. In 2022 is when that's all kicking off. And we've just really kind of been intentional about cultivating the relationships that we have. And when we do get to spend time with our loved ones, we make sure it's intentional and that we're really just being thankful for every minute that we have with them. So overall, I would say 2021 was a pretty good year. A couple hiccups, but there's always going to be hiccups, and honestly, it could have been worse. So I'm glad that this year turned out to be how it was. I went back and watched my goals video from January of 2021, and I honestly kind of forgot that I set a couple of those goals, so I'll go over those with you super quickly here. But one of the goals, well, first let me start with the overall word for the year. I kind of like to set a word for the year, and it was intentionality in relationships, in time, in money, in business, in a lot of different areas. And I kind of outlined like how I wanted to do that. So I will link the video down below if you want to go back and watch it and kind of get more detail about what my plans were, because some of them are going to carry over into next year. But one of them was to be more intentional with time by deleting all of the games that I would get sucked into on my phone, like Solitaire and Minesweeper. I like the classics, so those ones can just really get me sucked in for a long, like way longer than I need to be. So deleting those, which I definitely accomplished that, so we'll give that a check mark. I wanted to do time blocking for scheduling instead of trying to do like everything all throughout the day and like little bits and pieces. I wanted to try to be more effective by having blocks of time dedicated to different areas. And I didn't even do that at all, because with River going into the hospital in early February, and it just threw everything off, and that just kind of became something I totally forgot about that I wanted to even try. So I'm glad I watched that video again, because I do want to attempt that. I think it would be really beneficial, especially like having more dedicated homeschool time instead of just kind of scattering it throughout the day, excuse me, and being able to have intentional time that I'm getting work done, or hanging out with the kids, or, you know, dinner prep time. Like, it seems so simple, but if I block out the times and have certain parts of the day where I do each of these things, then it's going to be a lot more, I'm going to be a lot more able to focus on the task that I'm supposed to be doing, if that makes sense. So I did not do that at all this year. That's a big X, but we're hopeful for next year. Another one I wanted to do was to stop saying I will do it later if it's a task that's easy or not super time consuming to complete. And I think I kind of achieved this goal. I definitely have found myself a lot more likely and kind of catching myself when I'm like walking past something on the stairs that needs to go upstairs and not grabbing it, or, you know, if I have a dish in the sink but the rest of the dishwasher is already full, just hand washing it real quick. So there have definitely been times where I found myself doing things that I probably usually would have just said, I can wait till tomorrow. But there's definitely a lot of room for improvement on that front as well. So that will be taken into 2022. The other one I wanted to focus on with intentionality was relationships. And I mentioned how we kind of cultivated relationships that we have with our family that we spend time with. I've definitely done that. Definitely cultivated more of a relationship with my group of friends that I have. So I definitely will say that that's successful. Always can be improved, of course. So that's kind of like an ongoing thing that I want to be more mindful of. The one that we really didn't, I probably wouldn't check it off. It may be improved a little bit, but that was with dedicated time with just Anthony and I. So we obviously were together most of the time, other than when he's at work. We're pretty much together all the time, but it's always like with the kids or while we're doing chores around the house. Like, it's not a lot of just dedicated time. We did a few like in-home date nights this year, so it was definitely like a little bit better than the year prior, but we definitely want to get better at that and do some outdoor, not outdoor necessarily, but out of the house dates that we can just really spend time together and build that relationship even more than it already is. Last year, one of my goals was to be more intentional with money, and I would definitely say we achieved that. We were able to cash flow our wedding on our own, which was a huge accomplishment. It definitely makes us feel really good about it. And just kind of living throughout the year, not having to worry about, ooh, are we gonna have enough money for the next water bill that's going to come out, or something like that, or hey, can we go buy this, can we afford this, can we not? And we definitely still like thought about those choices, especially if it was something that would cost a lot, but we were able to do a lot more and still save than we ever had in the past. So that is a success. will also continue into the next year for sure as well. And then the last 2021 goal that I wanted to be intentional about was my health, and just kind of specifically, I mentioned in the video, preventative health, getting checkups and drinking lots of water. And so I definitely went to the doctor more this year than ever before, other than like for pregnancy related purposes, and got a diagnosis of Hashimoto's hypothyroidism, which was a whole nother story all on its own. But in previous years, I probably would have pushed that off a little bit. So I definitely did that. And then water, I got this giant water bottle here, and I most days will finish either all of it or at least most of it. So absolutely would put a check mark on drinking water. Okay, so that is the recap of 2021 and kind of how the year has gone. So now let's move forward to 2022. I think it's important to reflect on where we've been so that we know where we're going. And one of the things that I reflected on when I was kind of laying all this out for this video was that I set these goals, but then I never really made actionable steps to achieve them. So one of the things I'm going to do differently this year, and you'll get to be along with the ride because I'm going to do videos about it, is I'm going to do a monthly reset. And I saw this idea from another YouTuber named Carter Sullivan, and she does yearly resets and monthly resets, basically kind of like reflecting on the past month / year, looking forward to the next one, and setting everything up for whatever goal she has. So I'm going to do this a little bit backwards. I'm going to actually show you my plan for how I'm going to set myself up for that success first, and then I will end the video sharing with you what my goals are and what my word is for 2022. So the first thing I have is my personal planner, and this is a Happy Planner, and I've used Happy Planner for, oh my goodness, a long time. Like I think probably close to 6 or 7 years at least. This is the one I picked this year, and it has Mickey and Minnie details in it, which is fitting because we're going to Disneyland in November as a family. So I figured this would be a really cool way to just constantly be reminded of that all year long and just keep getting excited. In this planner, just for privacy reasons, I'm not gonna like show every single detail, but in each month spread, let's see if it'll focus for you here. Here we go. Okay, so for each monthly spread, I wrote in the set events that are happening. So in January, it's pretty slow with set events. We don't have birthdays or anything like that, but the girls do have their very first dance competition, which is really exciting. So there will be that. And then next is the weekly spreads, and this is what I can't really like show because it actually already has everything written down, like when the girls' classes are and everything. But I have filled in, I'll just kind of read it off to you. I have filled in every single music lesson that they have for the whole first 6 months. Well, they go through May. Their recital is the beginning of June. Every single dance class, every single day off, like holidays and spring breaks and stuff like that. Every single competition. And then underneath each competition, I've written little notes of like what their hair is supposed to be like, what their makeup is supposed to be. I have a note a week prior to make sure their costumes are all steamed. The week prior to the competition, like the weekend prior to the competition. And I've listed that for every single month of the year for dance. And then I've also written in birthdays. So let me see here. So I can show you June. So this is the spread for June. So I have their music recital, but then I have when I need to order Bailey's birthday invitations. This is River's birthday party. And then over on this side, when I'm going to do Bailey's photo shoot. And then over here is when I need to send out Bailey's invitation. So this is, I did that for each kid. So one of the things that I did notice this year is the things that caused the most chaos happened when I didn't have a plan. And it makes sense because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. That's the cliche thing, right? But I didn't really think about it in the moment until I was reflecting back on everything that happened, which is why it's important to do that. But I realized like, oh shoot, I need to do the kids' photo shoot because we always order birthday invitations and put their picture on the back. Excuse me. And then we send out paper invitations. I think it's really classy to do that, and we like to have them as like a memory. And then with just the picture on the back, people can choose to either recycle them or they can keep them for the picture. So we give people that option. But we do that for every kid, every year, for every birthday. And this year, it was just so hectic. I didn't have a plan for when we were going to do photo shoots. I got invitations out like a week before, I think, for Bailey's birthday. And it was just really hectic and it felt really stressful. So I want to minimize that by having the photo shoots already planned in on which weekend we're doing it, when I need to have the invitations ordered by, and when I need to have them sent out by. So I did that for all 3 of the kids' birthdays. And then we tentatively planned our camping trip. We go camping to Clay Lock every year. It's one of my favorite places in the world, and I'm excited to do it again. We're gonna have to do a shorter trip this year because we are doing Disney, but we're still gonna make it happen. So we put in our tentative dates that we can do that with my sister's family and hopefully some other family members of ours if they're able to come. And then I talked to my sister so we could find out when my niece and nephew's birthday parties will be. So I put those in. And then of course I put our Disney trip in. And then I also wrote down like what dates I need to be checking for airfare, because currently it's pretty high. So I have an app on my phone that's kind of like watching it for me, and it'll let me know when airfare goes down. So I just kind of have reminders sporadically through the planner to remind me to check on that. And then all the little things like ordering, like we want to do theme days where we all wear like Toy Story shirts or something like that. So finding like good deals on clothing items that we can wear while we're at Disney. I just have notes throughout on that. So I don't have to think about it. All I do is look at my planner and know, okay, I need to do that. And then when these events come up, they're already going to be done. We are also planning our family photo shoot for in the fall. It's already in here for our Christmas card photos, because that was another one that we put off way too long. And Pacific Northwest weather in November for sure is very iffy, and we got lucky with being able to do our photo shoot on a clear day, but that's not always the case. So I don't want to push it into them. We want to do it in October when it's a little more likely to have decent weather. So that's scheduled in. And then when I want to have our Christmas cards ordered by, and when I want to send them out by, it's all written in there. You get the idea. But this will be a huge time saver. The next thing that I wanted to be a little bit more proactive with scheduling was YouTube. So I found this at the Target like Bullseye's Playground. It was $5. I don't know if it's gonna focus. There it is. So this is it, and it's just like a wall calendar, has a little hook on the top, and but it's a bigger one, which I like because I can have more room, and you just flip it over to the next month when it's time. But I have already planned out all of my January videos, and the gray is like when I need to be filming and editing them, the red are the videos, purple are little notes that I want to remember for when I do film the video. And I have never done this before. Like, I have done lists of video topics that I would like to do and stuff, and like general dates of when I want to do it, but I have never done a calendar like on this day I'm filming, on this day I'm editing, on this day this one's going up. So I'm really, really excited about that because I really want to make this channel a priority this year, because it is something I love and it fuels my like self-care, I guess you could say. It makes me feel really happy when I'm able to be consistent and productive here. So y'all can hold me accountable for that too, because I definitely need as much accountability as I can get. And then the last like tool that I'm going to be using, which if you've seen our budgeting videos in the past, you have seen this. This is our budgeting binder. I use the same one every year, and I just obviously change out the pages that are used. And I have already completely set this one up as well. I am going to do a very detailed walkthrough of this in a separate video, but I just will show you real quickly. We have our budget tracker, which is just basically my way of like being able to color something in and make it pretty. So every day that we do our budget, we get to color in a little square. We have our bill payment checklist. So that is for our monthly bills, so we can just check off as those get paid. And then I'm going to kind of skip past into the monthly stuff. So I've already filled out January. So each month has a monthly spread, and I've just basically listed out when each bill is due with a little box next to it so I can check it off. And then when Anthony's paydays are. My paydays are sporadic, not sporadic, but they're not consistent. So I just put Anthony's in there. And then I have a cash envelope page, which is just basically a way for us to track what money we're putting in our cash envelopes and how much remains. The one thing we still need to do with this is we need to get together and figure out which categories we're even going to use cash envelopes for. Grocery was a big one we used to use for, but now like 90% of the time we order our groceries online, so we don't really need that anymore for that. So we need to figure out which ones we need cash envelopes for and what we want to put in them. And then each month also has an expense tracker. And this is just obviously tracking our expenses. So every single penny that we spend, whether it's on our debit card or cash, we're gonna write it down in here. And then we go into our every dollar account, which is the free version that Dave Ramsey produces. It's an app and a desktop version where we kind of keep track of everything as well, but we'll enter the expense into every dollar, and once it's entered, we highlight it, and that makes sure we don't miss anything, like we didn't misplace a receipt or anything. Like as soon as we spend something, we put it in here. And that's especially important with the cash transactions or transactions at places like Target, where it could be groceries, personal care, and clothing all in one purchase. We separate that out into those 3 categories. And so we would need to know with our expense tracker, our debit card just tells us the amount, but our expense tracker, after we do that, we put the receipt information in and we'll be able to separate it out accordingly. So that is what every single month has in here, and that is already set up. We have already set up our every dollar budget for January as well. And I will link some of my budgeting videos. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do another budgeting video. If you wanna see one, let me know. I've kind of gone through everything that we do for budgeting in previous videos, and it's not changed all that much. But if you do want to see it, I will be happy to do that. It would probably be February because I already have January planned out, but I am happy to kind of show you a round of our budgeting that we do. So just let me know that. But those are the ways that I have set us up for success in 2022. So now lastly, let's go over the goals. Before we go over these categories real quick, I want to share my word of the year because it kind of goes with what I just showed you, and that is preparation. I want to try to be as prepared as possible for every little thing I can think of. Like we've already planned the birthday themes for all the kids, and I've already put an Amazon cart full of stuff that I'm gonna need, and their birthdays aren't till June, July, and September. I already have kind of ideas going through my head of a family Halloween costume we could do, and we always like make that a family event, choosing that, and that's not till October. So I'm already in the mindset of planning for these like seemingly little things that can really kind of crowd together and add up. So being preparedness is my goal for 2022, my word of the year. Okay, so I have made goals in 6 areas of life, and these will be the same 6 areas that I do in my monthly reset videos, where I kind of check in how I did in the past month and what my new goals going forward are. And these are going to be more broad than every other month's videos because I'm going to be telling you like what my broad goals are for these things, and then each month I'm going to be breaking them down into what I want to do that specific month in order to achieve that goal, if that makes sense. So I'll give you one way in each category that I'm going to do that in January specifically, but for now it's mainly like the overall. Category 1 is my health, physical and mental. So I definitely have mentioned this in videos before, but in case you're new or missed it, I've battled with depression since 2011, I think, is when I had my official diagnosis. I've definitely managed it pretty well with the support of specifically Anthony, but just friends and family in general, but also being aware of it myself and kind of knowing when I'm sinking back down into that kind of darkness and seeking out help if I need it to pull back out, or catching myself and forcing myself to get off the couch or whatever it may be. Obviously the kids have been a huge part of that because I have to take care of them, so I can't just lay on the couch all day, so that's helpful, but I don't want to rely on that. So I want to be more in tune with my mental health, maybe even seek out somebody to go talk to, on a regular basis, just to kind of exercise my brain a little more and be like, instead of just being aware of it, having it be like at the forefront of my daily life. Physically, there's a lot that I need to do. So this year, my goal for being physically healthy is to learn everything I can about my Hashimoto's hypothyroid diagnosis, seek out professionals who will be able to help me with that, who are knowledgeable about it, who listen to what I have to say, who look at the whole body and not just try to treat or target one specific area of that's like a problem area or something like that. And just obviously to, you know, eat healthier and all of that stuff that we all want to do throughout the year. So making my physical and mental health a priority is huge. The one thing I want to do in January that will get me closer to that goal is to find a functional medicine doctor who is hopefully not too far away from me and hopefully not too expensive, but is able to help, maybe even like a telehealth option. I've kind of looked a little bit, but I want to find somebody. So what I've gathered is that the problem with like a traditional doctor is that it's like not every doctor by any means. This is not an umbrella statement, but most of the times, and this has been my experience with my personal doctor, is that they don't look at the whole body. Like there's a specialty that they have, and then they send you to the nutrition department who has a different specialty, and then this department has a different specialty, and they don't really seem to work together. It kind of seems very disjointed. I've had a lot of problems getting in contact. I've had to like fight for myself to even get a blood test to see if my vitamin D levels were too low, which is insane. I know a lot of it has to do with insurance, but I think I respect doctors immensely, and I know what they do is extremely important, but for my specific issues, I don't think enough is really known about like autoimmune disorders in general for them to be as effective as they could be, if that makes sense. I also don't want to go the holistic route where it's like no to prescriptions, no to anything that's like any kind of MD type of thing. I don't think that's effective either. I think that the sweet spot is in the middle, which is where a functional doctor comes into play. They will do both. They will, you know, prescribe whatever thyroid medication I need, but then they'll also look at my whole body and go, okay, don't eat these things, yes, eat these, and they look at it all together. Or this symptom could be a result of this issue, and this could be a result of this issue, and how it's all working together instead of trying to just treat that one symptom, if that makes sense. They'll do full blood panels, comprehensive, which I went in asking for when I went to my other doctor, and they kind of looked at me like I was crazy. So just that's my goal for January, is to find and solidify and get an appointment on the books with a functional medicine doctor. The second area of life that I want to focus on is my business. And I showed you my January planner already for YouTube, and that's basically what my goal is every month for this, is to have a plan 2 months ahead. So I want to have, like, by the end of this weekend, I want to have all of February planned as well, so that if I have pockets of time in January where I could pre-film a sit-down video that's not going to really matter, like obviously I'm not going to film a vlog in January that's going to go up at the end of February because it wouldn't be real time. But if I'm doing a sit-down video on something like how we budget, or our kids' commission system, or how I meal plan or something like that, it can really go up at any point, so I can pre-film those ones. So I want to be able to have a plan that way I can do that when time allows, especially because February is a much busier month for dance competitions for the girls. But overall, for the whole entire year, my business goal is to continue being steady, to build the business, to interact with all of you and build this community that we've already started to build here, which is amazing, and to finally get my second channel, which is a tutoring channel, going. I have it up, and some of you have subscribed already, so thank you, but I definitely haven't posted a video there yet. Things got crazy with the wedding and having COVID, and it just couldn't happen. I barely was able to put videos up here. So I definitely want to make that a priority and build both of those channels so that I don't put it on the back burner again. I want to get into a good rhythm with it so that it kind of just becomes part of normal routine. The third general area of life is financial. And again, I showed you our budgeting binder and how we were going to track that every month. But overall, our financial goal this year is to buy a second vehicle with cash Anthony's is a pretty old car, so we want to get another one before that one stops working. It is a Honda, but it has over 400,000 miles on it, so we don't go buy the newest things. We use our things, especially expensive things, until they can't be used anymore, and then we find a new one. But we want to be able to buy a vehicle with cash that will be reliable, so that either he can have that or we can have whatever we get, and then he can take our current vehicle as his commuter car. And that's all he uses his current one for, is just commuting to work. But that is one of our big financial goals this year. We also want to obviously continue to increase our savings as much as we can. We already have our Disneyland savings already set aside, but like things like a bigger emergency fund, and just kind of setting ourselves up to be like we were last year, like be able to go through the year without having to stress about it, essentially. Specifically in January, what we want to do to achieve that is get back into a rhythm with budgeting every single day. And when you budget every single day, it's literally like, it could be a few minutes a day, like 5 minute, let's jump on real quick and make sure we entered all our expenses. Are we on track? Are we close to going over budget in this category? Do we need to adjust anything? Boom. And then every week we could do like a little bit of a longer check-in, definitely monthly, do another check-in and kind of look forward to the next month. But so in January, that is my goal, is to budget every single day, and we'll see. We'll check in at the end and see if we do that, but I'm gonna really try. The next category is personal, and this is like, could be a lot of different things, but personal growth is kind of my mindset. And the general goal for 2022 is just to continue growing within myself, growing and developing, becoming a better person, finding things that truly make me happy, cutting off the fat that doesn't, literally and figuratively, but just making myself a more well-rounded person is always my goal. And the way I'm going to do that in January, the thing that I'm going to focus on in January, is I want to read a book. I have not read a book other than a homeschool read aloud or a homeschool related book from start to finish in I don't even know how long. I think I read like 2 over the last year, and it's just like, I love reading so much and I just never prioritize it. So for January, I want to read a book from start to finish, a book that is just for me, that is just for fun, and has no purpose other than just to entertain me. So we'll see if I accomplish that. And if you have any recommendations, let me know down below, like soon, because I'm going to probably start within the first week of January for sure. The next category is relationship goals. This one, I talked about this for last year, but I just want to continue cultivating and building the relationships that we have. I am so content with the group of friends that I have, that we have as a family, the friends who have become family. I'm just so content and thankful for all of them, that I want to make it a point to be more intentional and to, put in the effort a little bit more than I have in the past with them, and specifically with Anthony. So that is where my January task comes in. And for January, I want to focus on Anthony and I want to go on a date night with him once this month. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Like, honestly, we could just go park somewhere and sit at the stars and talk. Like, I don't even care what it is. I just want to have just time with him and I. We just got married a couple weeks ago. Obviously, it was crazy leading up to that, and there just wasn't a lot of us time in the past year, just by ourselves without having to do chores or something along with it as well. So that is a big goal of mine. And then we also have a goal of Anthony and I taking each of the girls one at a time and spending like half a day doing something that they want to do with just them. So they were rock stars throughout this whole wedding planning thing, and COVID and everything that has happened. They've just been so amazing, and we just really want to spend one-on-one time with each of them. So those are the 2 things I would like to accomplish in January for the relationship side of things. And then the last category that I'm going to be talking about each month is homeschool. The general 2022 goal is to just finish out, have a successful homeschool year. We homeschool year round, but like we do take like a 6-ish week break in the summer, but just kind of to finish strong, to get back into a rhythm after being off all of December, and to make it fun, to try to find little ways to include River here and there. He's obviously pretty young still, but we want to like have our homeschool classroom and homeschooling be something that's just normal to him, so that when it is his turn to jump in, he's like excited and ready to do that. So that's kind of like the overall goal for homeschool for 2022. But for January specifically, my goal is to finish our current read aloud, to get back into our rhythm of being in school 4 days a week after being literally, we took the entire month of December off unexpectedly, just because there was still so much to do for the wedding. But and lastly, to do some of the bucket list items. So we created a bucket list where the girls wrote on popsicle sticks, like big ones, some things that they wanted to do, and we pull something out of the bucket and then we make it happen. So I would like to do at least one of those, if not two or more, depending on how, like some of them are like bake cookies, but then some are like go on a field trip to a police station. So depending on what we pull out, at least one of those, maybe a little bit more. Okay, I feel like I have been talking forever, so I'm going to wrap this up, but I hope this gave you some inspiration to set some goals for yourself for the new year. I know New Year's resolutions, it's such like a cliche thing. It's kind of cringy to some people, but I think it's a perfect time to just reflect on everything. And like I said, at the end of every month, I'm going to start doing the same thing. That way I can hold myself accountable, and hopefully you all will hold me accountable throughout the year as well, because it's easy to just forget what your plan was unless you keep it at the forefront of your mind. So let me know down in the comments what some of your goals are, and get excited for a Get It All Done video that's coming up next week. But for now, remember to stay humble, be kind, and I will see you next time.
Jump into the car.